the boundaries of their various electorates. So let me talk to you about the boundaries of the North Sydney federal electorate. Kirribilli, Land Cove, Lane Cove North, Lane Cove West, Lavender Bay, Linley Point, Longueville, McMahon's Point, Middle Cove, Milson's Point, Naremburn, North Willoughby, Northbridge, Northwood, Riverview, St Leonard's, Waverton, Willoughby East, Wollstonecraft and Woolwich, as well as parts of Chatswood, Chatswood West, Cremorne, Gladesville, Gore Hill and Neutral Bay. Interestingly, our electorate is second in size only to the seat of Wentworth, and that's by the number of people, not by land mass. According to the 2016 census, the current population of North Sydney is 161,526 people, with women accounting for 51.8% of the population, while men account for 48.2%. Aboriginal and Torres Straits First Nations people account for just 0.3% of our population. Of importance to us this morning, I think, it's worth noting that 55.4% of people in our electorate were born in Australia, with the most common countries of birth outside that being China at 5.5%, England at 5%, New Zealand at 2.3%, India at 2.3% and Hong Kong at 1.9%. So we frequently talk about North Sydney as being a vibrant and diverse community, but the reality is that the numbers, it's not just something that we talk about, the numbers bear it out just as well. Now I'm just going to bring Shawn because as our special guest this morning, Shawn is going to talk to us about what he's experienced in the various roles that he has worked in, as somebody who's worked in public service roles. Oh, I think I can hear him. Is that you, Shawn? There.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Okay.
How are you, Shawn?
Good morning.
Thank you.
Happy Melbourne Cup Day.
I know, it feels a bit surreal actually. The Melbourne Cup feels like it only just happened, to be honest. So I feel, this year's gone very, very quickly. So how are you this morning, Shawn? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I've got my cup of tea. I've got my special cup today. I don't know if you can read that, everyone. That's what's inspiring me today to get up and get the job done. So I'm inspired by a beautiful friend of mine called Kathy Burke. She actually got me into this cup. So, but Shawn, as I said, thank you for joining this morning and also for everything you're already doing as part of Team Tink. I thought it might be a nice way to start if you would tell people a little bit about your background and how you come to be involved in the campaign.
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in China and moved to Australia for uni. When I was around 20 years old. That was more than 10 years ago, I think 2006. So I moved around quite a bit. So I first start my life in Australia in Melbourne and then moved to Adelaide for uni. And then after that, I spent 1 year in Brisbane for a postgrad course, and then joined my future wife in Sydney. So that's where we decided to settle down and start my career in accounting, and for a couple of years, and in both in the public firms and then in commercial accounting, mainly working for medium-sized businesses. So that's a very interesting experience, and I learned so much from being in that small medium-sized business environment, and then I've always have a passion for public service. So that's actually the reason for me it's a really tough decision to give up my Chinese citizenship, because China doesn't allow dual citizenship.
Right.
And then I decided to get my Australian citizenship. So I'll be able to join the public service, and that took a while for me to achieve that goal, but eventually it happened in April this year. So I started working for Austrade in Sydney office, and that's it's been I would say that's the best job I ever had. So it's also it's a really really rewarding job. First helping out all the exporters, and then now I'm in the tourism team, so assessing grants for the travel agents. So talking um, to travel agents on a daily basis and helping them um, to help them, I guess, get through this difficult time. And yeah, it's good to see that our border opened yesterday, and also the state borders will gradually be opening up, and yeah, to see people getting to a, just like you said, to a more normal life. And yeah, it's yesterday I was it's quite emotional to see people arriving in Sydney Airport. You know, family getting back together, and yeah, that's a very emotional moment, and also a sign of us getting back to normality. That that's yeah, that's great. So
It
yeah.
was actually quite extraordinary last night, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
I think so many of us are used to being able to travel freely. And I don't know the statistics, but my instinct tells me
Mm.
that Australians are travellers. You know, every time you go to any airport, usually it's hustling and bustling with people. And I know it's been so surreal to see both our domestic and international airports in the last 2 years really almost come to a complete grinding halt. I think, like many people, as you heard me say in the introduction last night, as I was watching those stories of, you know, mothers reuniting with daughters and fathers reuniting with sons, it really brought home to me how long and unusual this period in our community has been. So, but tell me, Shawn, so you've chosen to become Australian, which is fantastic and such a gift for us. How have you found that transition coming from China into Australia and specifically into our electorate? Because where do you actually live, Shawn? What part of the North Sydney electorate are you in?
I live in Narrabeen,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and
fantastic.
used to be in Lane Cove.
Okay, okay. I love Narrabeen. That's where I first lived when
Mm.
I came to the north
Ah,
side. So it's a great, great
yeah.
little pocket of our community. But so yeah,
Mm.
talk to me about how you found adapting to life here in Australia and what your experiences have been in terms of inclusion and recognition of diversity across our community.
Mhm. Well, it's first of all, it's quite a different environment, definitely. The culture is really different. When I first arrived, language was a main barrier, and it took me a while to be able to feel comfortable ordering food at a fast food restaurant. So that's interesting, but I really enjoyed the people here, to
Yeah.
interacting with the people here. People are really warm and friendly, and very relaxed, and that's a good part of the Australian culture. But yeah, unfortunately, I guess it happened maybe to most migrants. There are incidents where you feel uncomfortable because of you coming from a different culture, and it happens sometimes when you, especially when you first arrive. You're quite sensitive about these kind of things. Um, and when you get into I guess, a professional environment, there are things just make you feel a bit, um, make you feel a bit, I guess, uncomfortable is when there are things happening that's probably not, it's quite in a subtle way, and
Mhm.
that makes you feel that, oh, I might be treated differently. But the good thing is, I can see the progress. It's yeah, and also it's just over the years, you can see issues with diversity and equality, and especially in these 2 years, issues around women's rights, and
Mhm.
gender issues, especially what happened in Canberra. I'm really glad to see this to see this conversation get started um, um, around the Canberra bubble and how things are. I'm genuinely I'm shocked to see how women are treated sometimes in politics, and I was also um, I was closely following Julia Banks as well to see
Yeah,
how
amazing
um,
book. Yeah.
yeah. So I was generally um, um, curious about how things why things are the way they are, and yeah, that's why I'm really I know gender equality is one of the things that you're passionate about, and that's something that I think that needs to change, to
Mm,
improve, and yeah, that's why I want to get involved in other issues as well, climate change,
mm.
um, and issues around integrity, to have a more accountable government. They're the things that I'm really passionate about. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, and I guess it makes sense then that you've chosen to connect with this push to get an independent into the North Sydney federal election. So
Yeah.
thank you for doing that.
All right.
Sean, I'm interested though because you make. I mean, I was born in Australia. I was born in a small country town, called Coonabarabran out in northwest Australia. So, I mean, I came to Sydney and it must have been 1992 now, and I had that experience of cultural adaptation from bush versus a city living.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to explore to you. I mean, as I just said, in the lead up to this, 45% of the people who live in our electorate weren't born in Australia. They were actually born outside Australia. And so I'd like to explore with you what are the important things that we need to ensure we're doing to actually be truly representative of a vibrant and diverse community. I'm very conscious that if I am elected and I'm successful in getting to Canberra, it's my job to be the voice of everybody who lives across our electorate. So, I mean, I know that you're already providing me with advice and working with the team, but I would love for you to talk to everyone that's listening here about how can we be more conscious of perhaps some of those unconscious biases we bring to the way we write or speak or celebrate, even something like Melbourne Cup Day. It would be fascinating to kind of explore how that actually resonates across multiple cultures.
Yeah. I guess it doesn't. What I'm about to say doesn't only apply to, I guess, issues around diversity and inclusion. First of all, what I want to say is I have a feeling that from my experience that you don't get to see your local member too
Mm-hmm.
much.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I think that's really not how it's supposed to be. So, um, after someone gets elected,
Mm-hmm.
you only pretty much see this person when we're approaching to an election. So that's something I think should be changed, because you represent these your people in the electorate, and I think it's really important that um, you get to see the people regularly and
Mm-hmm.
to hear from them um, the issues that potentially you need to bring to the parliament, to Canberra.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing, and of course when you're out and about, you get to meet people from all backgrounds, and including people like me. So, and to listen to them, yeah, to have their voice heard. That's really important. And the second thing, I think I heard you saying when I saw you first, that something like you don't necessarily know about anything. So
Mm-hmm.
that's actually a good point, because yeah, that's um, everyone's like that. So that's why we should have a open mind to listen to people, to I guess gather advice from people from all walks of life, and everyone has a lot to contribute uh, to to you, and to make our community a better place. So and I, for one, I'll be happy to, once you're elected, I'll be happy to keep helping you and to achieve your goals.
Thank you, Shawn. Actually, I've got to say, I think politics wasn't something that I foresaw in my future, and in fact, I would never have just put my hand up to run as an independent in a federal election. It wasn't in my DNA. So me running as a candidate is very much about the fact that members of the community had reached out to me and asked if I would step up and do it. But I am just loving, one of the things I'm loving about it is the opportunity to meet with so many people and simply listen, like actually sincerely listen to the concerns that they have, and then with them try and nut out, what are the steps that may need to be taken to address those, not just on our local level, but things like the impact of climate change, the lack of integrity at the federal level, the fact that we seem to have an economy that our federal government keeps trying to re-gear to old technology rather than embrace new, and the matters that you touched on in terms of equality. There is a lot of attention, and rightly so, about gender equality at the moment in Australia. But for me personally, I think equality is something that applies to all human beings, and I think that it is a real opportunity for our society to actually embrace who we truly are and where we all come from, because we are an incredible, mishmash of people. So I'm really enjoying that experience. And I think, to your point, one of the things I found interesting is that, when I first entered politics, there was this real sense, or entered this conversation, there was this real sense that you needed to wait until people reached out to you, to start a conversation. And I was like, no, I want to reach in, like, how do I actually connect with people and try and give them that sense that I am truly listening, and I'm listening because I want their voice to be heard in Canberra. And I know you and I have already had a couple of initial conversations around particularly, an approach to politics in China, and, people who come from that Chinese background into Australia and reorienting themselves with our expression of politics. I mean, what's your observation in terms of our Chinese community across the Northern Sydney electorate? And, will they be surprised to meet somebody like me, or is it something that you think they'll be open to and potentially excited by?
Definitely, I'm sure people from my community will not be surprised to see someone like you, but I'm sure they will be happy to see someone they can resonate. So you, as a coming from a professional background, a business woman, and I think that's I'm raising two kids, and that's something I'm sure many people would resonate, and that's a very good thing. And also someone with I guess with no political experience would be a plus point. Would be a plus because people would feel that there's always, like, I think a bit of a barrier when you interact with a politician. So people always have stereotypes, and also a political figure. When you meet a politician, people tend to think that you're probably all about talks, not too much actions, but to have someone represent us from a non-political background, I think that's people who would feel more comfortable raising issues with you. And definitely that's also having someone who's genuinely care about issues, and in all communities. and that's definitely yeah would definitely attract attention from the Chinese community and the I guess a wider diverse community in North Sydney, definitely.
I think you touch on a really interesting point there, and that is that, you know, the majority of us living in North Sydney do come from some business background, you know, whether it's we've worked for multinationals or we've worked for not-for-profits, or, you know, we've run our own businesses. You know, I've done all three of those things, and actually I love having the conversations from that point of view of what is good business. You know, how can we, because I do fundamentally believe that our community will be stronger when we have a forward-facing, you know, economy that provides policy certainty for those people who may be looking to invest in Australia, but also importantly provides, you know, a framework for our young Australians and even their kids as they come through, so that they know what the future looks like. And I think that that's a really beautiful part about our community. When you look across it, there are so many clever, well-connected, articulate, compassionate people who live across North Sydney that I get excited by the potential to harness all of those ideas and actually take those ideas to Canberra and make sure they're heard. You know, they're not just lost in a party room, they're actually heard in the house as the voice of North Sydney. I don't know if that makes me maybe a little bit naive, but I just think that's a really exciting thing to have the capacity to do. I want to just, I'm conscious of time, but I wanted to just touch with you quickly. I mean, obviously COP26 is on at the moment, and the whole world seems to be stopping and watching what's going on with COP26. What is your impression from, you know, our electorate across North Sydney around how this conversation around a need for faster action on climate is actually resonating right across our community?
Well, I think we have great potential in North Sydney to be the leader in this area. We have so much potential in terms of infrastructure, in terms of people's willingness. From my experience, like speaking with people, people's willingness to adopt new technologies, say, for example, just buying an electric car. That's something many people are thinking about. So, but we do lack, compared to many countries, even developing countries, we do lack this in the area of policy, of government incentives, for example. It's great to see, and also another thing that's quite puzzling me is the way how the federal government is lagging behind many state counterparts.
Yeah.
That's something definitely we can do from a federal level, and yeah, I think North Sydney would be great for to raise this issue. People would definitely support any initiatives to have a more you know, environmental friendly community in North Sydney. And yeah, that's definitely a great point to have.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shawn. I know my cup of tea's almost run out, so thank you for taking the time to speak with me this morning. I really appreciate you doing so, and I look forward to working with you in the months ahead to actually really make sure that as we develop this unique voice that is the North Sydney electorate's voice, that it is one that speaks with many minds and many hearts behind it to bring the best of our intellect to that, you know, chamber down in Canberra. Thank you to everyone for joining me again this morning. I hope it's given you a moment just to stop in what I'm sure is a very busy day. What I will do as I sign off is just remind everybody we've got an amazing event coming up this Thursday night. This Thursday night, for the first time, I'll be doing an in-person event at the Lane Cove Golf Club. Unfortunately, all of the in-person tickets have sold out, but you can still definitely join the event by registering and participating online via Zoom. So please, I really encourage you to do so. The event's focus is actually on COP26. But rather than looking at it from a global level, really looking at what does COP26 mean for us here in North Sydney. In the North Sydney electorate, what are the things we should be looking at to carry our weight as we move forward and to evolve our society? I'm speaking with 4 incredible human beings. I have Will Hazar, who is a First Nations coordinator with the Seed Mop, will be joining me. Also Professor Leslie Hughes, who is a climate scientist and Pro Vice Chancellor at Macquarie University. Martine Wilder, AM, who's the co-founder of Pollination and President of the World Wildlife Fund here in Australia. And also Marion Wilkinson, who's an award-winning journalist and author of an incredible book that I've actually just finished reading called The Carbon Club, that I would so recommend you get your hands on and have a read of. And that's this Thursday night, 4th of November, between I've written 16:30, but I think that's meant to be 6:30 and 8:30. So it would be so lovely to see, as many people there as possible, and really, have our own conversation around what COP26 means for us and the future of our electorate. So, Shawn, thank you so much, and
Thanks for having me.
anytime. Have a great day, guys. See you soon. Bye.
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 Authorised by Kylea Tink, North Sydney, New South Wales.